Once, in a small town tucked between green hills and a silver river, lived an old lantern maker named Nari. Her shop smelled like warm wax and cedar, and every lantern she made seemed to contain a little sunrise. People came from nearby villages to buy her lanterns because the light felt honest, soft, steady, and strangely comforting. One autumn evening, a wealthy merchant named Kevin arrived with a grand order, 100 lanterns for the Festival of Lights. The town celebrated with music, food, and lanterns floating across the river like a sky of fallen stars. Kevin wanted the finest lanterns so his name would glow as brightly as the town's moon. Nari agreed and worked day and night. She carved delicate patterns, stitched silkscreens, and mixed pigments that made colors sing. But as the deadline drew close, a terrible problem came. The luminous oil that made the lanterns glow honestly had run out. The regular oil gave a steady, warm light. The cheap oil cost half as much but sputtered and flickered, and its flame often threw odd shadows that lied about the shape of things. Nari had only enough honest oil to finish 10 lanterns. She could be truthful and make 10 perfect lanterns, or she could use the cheap oil for the rest, hide the imperfection with extra decoration, and Kevin would likely never notice the difference in the dark festival crowds. The extra money would comfort her and her small daughter, Lila, for months. That evening, Nari sat under the maple tree outside her shop and watched the river. Lila, small hands wrapped around a cup of tea, asked, "Mama, why are you quiet?" Nari thought of the warm oil, the flickering cheap flame, the merchant's pride, the silence of the river. "I must decide what kind of lantern maker I want to be," she said finally. "A maker of pretty lies, or a maker of true light?" Lila tilted her head. "And if you tell the truth, what then?" "You could lose the order," Nari said. "You might stay poor for another month." Lila paused, thoughtful. "Or you might sleep knowing you didn't hide the dark." Nari smiled. Her daughter's simple words felt like a small honest flame. The next morning, Nari invited Kevin into her shop and showed him a perfect lantern. "These 10 are made with my best oil," she said, voice steady. "They will glow true in your festival. I can finish the rest with cheaper oil, but they won't be the same." Kevin's brow furrowed. His pride and plans bent like iron under her truth. "You can't deliver 100 honest lanterns?" he asked sharply. Nari nodded. "I cannot, and I won't pretend." Kevin paced. It would be better to buy cheaper lanterns elsewhere, or demand a discount. He considered his reputation. In the end, he laughed and left with a curt "I'll find another maker." The town buzzed with news. Some praised Nari for her honesty, others muttered that she had lost a fortune. Weeks passed. The festival drew close. Kevin's 100 lanterns hung in rich rows, bright at first, but many flickered and died as the night deepened. Their light cast strange shadows that made familiar faces look like strangers, and at the harbor, a small child stumbled when the path's light betrayed her. Across the river, Nari's 10 lanterns were carried by 10 simple families. Their glow never faltered. Under those lanterns, laughter was steady, hands found one another, and people saw each other clearly. Lila walked beside her mother, watching how neighbors greeted each other without fear. On the festival's final night, the silver moon tilted, and a sudden wind carried Kevin's grand display into chaos. One by one, many of his lanterns guttered and sank into the river like false promises. The crowd turned. People began to whisper, then to speak up, not in anger at Kevin so much as in admiration for the steady lights that still shone across the way. An elderly baker named Myra stepped forward and climbed the riverbank where Nari stood. Myra took one of Nari's lanterns, held it high, and said, "A lantern that tells the truth shows us who we are when the dark comes." "Thank you, Nari." Her voice spread like a warm current. Word traveled. People who had bought Kevin's flashy lanterns returned to Nari asking for the small, honest lights. Cavin's merchant stall was busy, but this time not with praise. Many customers had lost trust in his promises. He felt the change deep in his pockets and in the way people looked at him. Cavin came to Nari again, late this time, humility edging his voice. "I misjudged what mattered," he said. "Buyers now ask for honesty more than splendor. Will you make lanterns for me?" Nari looked at him, the river's reflection shimmering. She had a choice once more, to accept and profit handsomely, or to keep making just what she had always believed in. "I will make lanterns," she said, "but only the kind that truly shine." Cavin agreed, and together they learned a new way to do business, one that honored truth. Nari taught his apprentices how oil, craftsmanship, and honesty made light that didn't just glow, it guided. The merchant's heart, once heavy with pride, softened into careful respect. Months later, when the town's children heard the story of the Festival of Lights, they would point to the river and say, "See? The honest lights saved the night." Adults would nod and smile, remembering that choosing truth sometimes means losing an easy win, but gaining trust, peace, and steadier paths forward. Lila grew up to be a lantern maker too. When her hands trembled with doubt, she would recall the warmth of her mother's choice. And every time someone asked why she used the good oil, she would say simply, "Because light should tell the truth." The town's lanterns became more than decorations, they became a promise. In markets, by hearths, along the river, people learned to prefer steady glow over showy flash. They learned that honest light doesn't always win the loudest applause, but it outlives the false blaze and keeps the world safe when darkness comes.